Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Michael, KE4EST, and in this video, by request, what I'm going to do is go through this unit and let's see what changed. So what I did with this signal generator is I've went through now, and I have went through every band, went through the alignment procedure, took my time, lined it up, back and forth like I was showing you in part 2. Start at this end of the dial, then run my way to that end of the dial over here, and then come back to this end of the dial, and tune up the coil, touch it up there, just get in there and just tweak it, go back to the other end, make sure I pick the same frequency and look dead on this thing and get it just exactly as close as I can to what I'm going for, and touch up the capacitor, and go back, and go back, and go back. And then go to the next band, do the same thing over and over and over. So I went through the whole thing now. And I've still got the case off of it. What I want to do is go back. Let me put this back again where I can look at dead on over here. And I'll let you look at the frequency counter. And I'm still on band E. Let's go back to band A. And I'm going to look at this here, and I'm going to put it just as close as I can to 110, to what it looks like to me. And you'll see I take my time. Okay. That looks like it right there. Oh, look at that. So, that's pretty good. That's, the closer you're probably going to get it with this here. Let's see what happens if I touch it up just a little bit. Get in there on this thing. Oop, wrong way. Oh, too much. Yeah, see, you just got to barely touch this thing now. And it's really subjective too with something like this. So that's about as close as I'm going to get it right there. Because when you look at this thing here square on, and you think, okay, that's, well, I know that light's not working real good there for that. That's 110. And somebody else look at it and say, no, I think it needs to go just a hair that way. And you see I changed the frequency counter. Somebody else might say, I think it needs to go just a little bit that way. And see, it's still all right around 110. And this being analog, that's about as close as you're going to get. And another thing I want to mention too is, I don't know if anybody took me wrong or anything like that, but I wanted to mention, you want to get this thing as close as you can. If this is all you're going to have, this is all you have to align stuff with, it's your equipment, it's what you're going to be using, so get it just as close as you can get it, to being accurate. You may not have fancy test equipment and all that, and most people don't, so you take this and you get it just as close as you can, for your shop, for your lab, for your workbench. As a couple comments may have, somebody's like, well, this is just a, old piece of junk, as best it's going to get. And all I'm saying is, for what this is, this ain't a $10,000 piece of equipment. And yes, I know some of that stuff don't have to be $10,000, but why is it $10,000? Because they can, and you don't go to your local store every day and like you buy milk and bread, and there's a whole lines of these things with 10,000 people competing. There's only a few companies competing over making very nice signal generators, and they all kind of go with that price. So yeah, if you want a really good one, it's going to be up there in the price, or the thousands of dollars. But you can get something like this, or you can even get something that's a little bit better than this one. It's got a meter on it that you can calibrate to see exactly how much output is and all that. And you can get them used. There's other ones out there. There's even ones like this this HP here, like this signal generator. They have signal generators, like this frequency counter here. They come out in the 80s. They almost match up to this. Some of them match, you know, they're made in the same time. They look, knobs and buttons and everything's all the same. That if you get a good one, they're kind of a pain in the butt if something goes wrong with them. Getting some of the parts and getting them lined back up. If you get one that's in good shape, you know, you can get them $400 or $500 on eBay. Make sure you get one that's, you know, the guy's got good feedback. It's not just one of these warehouses selling tons and tons of them. You know, you find a guy that says, hey, I've used this. I just upgraded, you know, whatever. It's been calibrated recently. It's, you know, I use it a lot. I know it's been, you know, not bounced around everywhere. And you may pay $500, $600 for it. But the guy, you know, he's got 100% positive feedback, but he may only have 500 feedback points, not 10,000 or 20,000 like some of these warehouses just trying to offload this stuff. You can get some of these instead of paying, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 or more for a pretty good RF signal generator. Same thing with these frequency counters. These here, I see them go around $150 on eBay, and some are good, and you got to be careful though. But so get the best you can afford and make it the best that you can do. And some of the stuff you can go in and you can say, well, you know, like I was saying, I don't exactly like the way that is, so let me change this here and change that. And you might go in and say, I want to change this resistor here. The resistor's fine, but let me tweak it a little bit. It's say it's 120K. Let me pad on there, make 121K. Or let me put another VR in there, another potentiometer, just to kind of tweak things exactly, you know, get it a little bit. There's things you can do, you know, to take something like this and make it a little bit better. So anyway, let's real quick here. I wanted to make this, you know, just a quick video, kind of like a follow-up. Let's go on the other end of the band to, let's see, what was I using? 350, I think it was. Alright, let me look at this thing here. Get it dead on there. Okay. Whoop. See? And all I've done, I had that on there. Again, just flexing this. So let's set there a second, not touch it. Alright, let me put my tool on here. Going ever so slight. I mean, I ain't moving this much. So right about there. Alright, so let's check band B. And on band B, I was using 1300. So let's put it on 1300. Pretty close. And then I used 400. Right there's 400. Wow, that's pretty good right there. So not too bad. You know, but like I said, it don't hurt to go all the way through A. You know, in the first or the second video, go A through E, then go back and do A through E, then go back and do A through E. So now, real quick, let me shut this off. Let me get it unplugged over here. Okay. What I'm going to do is try to, yeah, I guess I can just unhook that so I ain't got a cable link going to be in the way. Well, this ain't sitting there's already got dust back on it. Don't take long, does it? Let me I'm gonna put the cabinet back on it and see what happens. put one screw in it, at least. So we know we got a good connection. So now this cabinet's definitely tied good to the chassis. Alright, now let's hook it back up here. Let's plug it back up. Okay, turn it back on. Now let's see where we at here. Okay. Let's go to band A. Zoom back in a little bit. Let's see, 110. It's right there. It's a little bit off. So let's see what happens. I go to the upper end of the band real quick. Let me look at this. Put it right on 350. Look how much that's went off. So let's take the tuning tool and stick it in there. See if we can find the screw. Well, see this light in it here. Now that's interesting. Of course, that's the way it is. Let's see something here. Yep, that's the way it goes, ain't it? It's not perfectly lined up. Of course, this was a kit, and somebody may have something you could take it and make it a little bit better. I may have just hit it though. Yeah. It ain't perfect, so I gotta kinda watch how I'm putting it in there. Because I don't want to touch the upper end with the capacitor. Not particularly. Let's see if we can get this lower end. Alright, right there. Alright, now let's go. Alright, there's 350. Okay, that's good right there. Okay, let's take it back to 110. And let's see what it looks like at 110. Right there. Well, boy, look at that. It's about breathe on that. And it jumps there. So, yeah. Don't take much. That's pretty close. Let's try something else. Let's go down to D. D. Let's see. Let's go to 6. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's pretty close to 6. That's pretty close. Let's go to the upper end. 13, I think. No, I was using 14, but where was I? Let's see. Let me find my notes. I was using 15. Alright. So get it on 15. That could probably be standing to touch up a little bit. A, B, C, D. Well, that one's lining up, ain't it? Need to go in a little straighter. I was trying to go crooked like I was the other one. Come on. I see it. There it is. Okay. But I'm going the wrong way. Right, almost got it. there. Okay. So it does change when you put this cabinet on. Did knock it off because I just had it right on there, and I went back through it 2 or 3 times before I started the camera up. So let's go now back to the lower end. Alright, there's 6. It's pretty close. About there's 6. Okay, there's 6. So that shows you right there. Once you do all that and do all that, get the cabinet back on, go in these holes here, and you'll probably find out that if the bottom end's off just a little bit, don't mess with the capacitor, because all this does is give you access to those capacitors. It ain't give you access to the coils. Go up to the upper end somewhere, adjust it, and come back down and see if it's closer or right on it maybe. And if you have it, you can always kind of see how far it's moving one way or the other. Make some notes. Take the cabinet back off. Detune, say you're using 6 megahertz on band D. Detune it just a little bit the other way, just a hair. Put the cabinet back on and see if it comes back in. So that's a trick you can do too. And like I said, this can take a while. To really get something lined up and do it right, it takes a while. And I've said it in other videos too, and I say this video is getting a little bit longer than I want it to be, but I mentioned it in other videos, but when you send off to have something lined up, and it can cost $2,000 to $3,000 to have a unit lined up, and you're like, man, why does it cost so much? And if they're doing it right, doing their job right, yeah, it's a little high. They could probably do it a little bit cheaper. But then again, it's one of them things. But they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. They're going to know exactly what your line voltage is, exactly what this is, exactly what that is. They're going to, what's your ambient temperature in your shop. Your average ambient temperature, what's your average line voltage. They're going to set everything up. And they're going to go through it like this. And they can take 3 or 4 hours, 5, 6 hours sometimes. It can take, a guy all day on his shift pretty much, because time he stops, takes his breaks and his lunch and everything. If he starts in the morning, it can take him all day. And maybe not something like this, but the more expensive ones, the more ones that's really, higher tolerance, they can take a good day, to go through that. It takes a lot of time, and sometimes it goes into the next day. And then they got to make sure it's all kinds of precautions they go through to package everything up to send it back to you, so it stays that way. So anyway, so I hope this third video here has helped answer some questions and showed some things. So yeah, takes time on these things, but make sure you get it right. And one other thing too is temperature. I mentioned it before, but if you need to line it up with your temperature right. Don't go out there. Most people's not going to do that, but don't go out first thing in the morning. Say you got your ham shack or your shop or whatever out from your house a little bit or something, out in the garage or out in a detached part of the house somewhere, like a little building you've got, and it's cold outside, and you go in there and it's 50 degrees in there. Don't fire this up and start doing any alignments on it. Wait till you get your heat going. Wait 2 or 3 hours. Get that, or have it the night before instead of turning the heat off. Keep it warm in there if you want to start first thing in the morning. So that your ambient temperature is around 70 degrees, 70 degrees Fahrenheit here, we use in the U.S., but somewhere around that area. And unless you like it 60 degrees all the time, whatever your average temperature in its environment, that's where it needs to be when you do the alignment on it. And then stuff like this, depends on how much you use it, but you need to redo the alignment at least every 6 months, but at the most a year, at least once a year. But if you use it a lot, every 6 months. It don't take long to just touch it up, and you shouldn't have to go through all that, change out capacitors and this, that, and the other. Just want to touch the alignment up. Take time to touch the alignment up in your equipment. Make a schedule for yourself. Make yourself do it. So, because if you're lining something up, it's only going to be as accurate as you do it. And if your equipment's off, or you're rushing through it, or whatever, it's not going to be as good as it could be. And I've done it before. I done one a long time ago that I kind of rushed through. I lined up an HF rig and give it back to the guy. Good thing it was a local guy. And he said, things just don't sound right. He said, it seems like everybody's off frequency just a little bit. I said, all right, bring it back over. I put it on everything, and I was off. I had the master oscillator. I didn't have it right on. As soon as I brought that back in, that fixed it. So, and that's another thing too, and getting in another video about, make sure you're using active probes and things like that. If it's something that's really critical, it's got to be lined up. You don't want to take just a probe and stick it on it. That probe is going to drag your oscillator off. You got to use an active probe or something to make sure you're not pulling your oscillator off. But anyway, I've let this video run too long, and I hope this has helped somebody out, and I hope it, helps you get it going. Any more comments, any more questions, please put them in the video description below. Be glad to answer them, and I'm glad to, have the interaction with people. So anyway, until the next video, this is Michael, KE4EST 73.